drafting company in Oregon, and we got drones to give people a unique way of seeing themselves go down the road. We just kept having more you folks come in to the door saying, "That's really great. I have this piece of property, and that might be really neat to show it off. Can I take pictures of it?" After about the 10th one, we thought, we think we might have something here. So I convinced, against my girlfriend's better judgment, to allow me to buy a new one, bring it out here, and try it out. Matt Humble here in Rockford was my very first customer, who gave me an order of 5 properties when I left his office. And 4 years later, I'm in 30 cities around the country, hire about 100 to 120 pilots at any given time, shoot 300 properties a week. We shot just shy of $1 billion in property value. We're the provider for all of Fox News. If Fox News has a live shot via drone on what's called an established story, so not breaking news, because you can't get somebody out there that quickly, but forest fires, tornadoes, floods, it's us. It's a great industry to be a part of. I love it. It's fun to have influence in. I wrote the drone legislation that passed in the Illinois legislature, one of the few bills that got passed last year. And I serve on their task force. We look at ways to regulate the industry, keep it safe, keep everyone kind of involved. So this is the drone. It's pretty straightforward device. All drones typically are just flown with either what's called fixed wing, which means that the vehicle itself has to continually be moving like an airplane or like a helicopter. Camera's always on the bottom to be able to get your footage that you need. This is a spend your item. This is about $2,000 when you get all the little bells and whistles to it. The requirements when we first got started were much, much more heavy. You used to almost have to have an actual pilot license. You had to fly around and be able to fly a Cessna at the same time, be able to fly it. So your entry level into the business was much more expensive. You had to go through pilot school, about $5,000 to $10,000 investment just to open up your door. It's not including this and the software and everything that goes along with it. Now it's about $300. So as you can imagine, if everybody sees that people are making a lot of money in the industry, it's popular, it's not very expensive to get into it, everybody in the world is going to run down to Home Depot or Best Buy and pick themselves up one and say, "I'm a drone pilot, you should hire me." That has its own problems, as you can imagine. Much in the sense that if someone said, "How hard is it to sell my house? I can go and sell my house for myself. Why do I need to hire you?" There's a reason why. You pay for what you get. A lot of folks don't have insurance. A lot of people aren't licensed. A lot of people don't know how to edit. It's really easy to take the photographs. It's really hard to get them edited to make them look like you want. And if you're going to spend the money, you might as well get what you pay for. So that's a little bit of background on me. And then we can kind of talk a little bit about some of the other stuff. We'll see how we're doing over here. Hey, this is our sizzle room. Lights. to find out, look at houses first. That's where they're going to go at the very, very beginning. They're going to start going online, looking at houses, making their selections. Before they ever pick up the phone and call you, before they ever go and look at a house, they're going to Google and finding out based on whatever search criteria they want. 9 out of 10 do that before they actually start the process. This is one of my favorite things. What does this look like to you? Any guesses? Okay. How is it being communicated? Twitter, right? Actually, it's not. I just put the symbol to fool you. This was pre-2006. This is how you sold houses in the 90s, the 80s. Anybody here sell houses in the 90s and the 80s? It was that. The buyer has absolutely no idea what they're getting themselves into. The seller has absolutely no idea who's showing up at their house. You have no idea who either of them really are. But this is how we sold houses, because there wasn't really an option. What happened in 2006 that changed everything in your industry? Anybody have a guess? So only 11 years old.
Social media.
Very close. So, it's all it. It allowed me to sit in my underwear on Thursday night and narrow down the list of properties I'm going to go see with my wife on Saturday. Decide which ones are best for me, and then go forward with that. The problem with that is that we have only marketed one half of the equation. We spend all of our time focused on the inside of the property. We don't spend any time focusing on the outside of the property. This is one property, and I pulled up. This is in Oregon. This is where I'm from. It's going to be hard to kind of see it there, but I'll read it to you. It's a 61-acre wine estate. That's 61 acres. That's where's the 61 acres? What am I looking at? Where's the golf course? Where's the access to the highway? Where's the access to the schools, the nearby parks? You can't see that. And that's just what we have all been doing. And no one has questions it because everyone does it, until now. All that sites did, or like Zillow, was to fill three basic things. And the three things that are essential to change it from a gimmick to a tool. If Zillow was only available for multi-million-dollar properties, if it cost you $1,000 to put up your listing, and it only benefited a certain amount of the public, how many of you would use it? 0. But it's relatively expensive, it affects everybody, and impacts your industry without regard for price of house. How many of you use it? All of you. So the only way that that machine is going to do anything in your industry on the same levels is those three same points. So for you, it has to be inexpensive, it has to impact the consumer in a way that benefits them, and it can't be discriminatory toward a $20,000 listing versus $1 million listing. And when we first got started, there were people who would charge $2,000 for a video, which is great. I will totally take $2,000 of your money. But if you have a $100,000 listing, you're not going to spend $2,000 to market. But you'll spend $100 to market. So that's where this essentially comes through. You have the ability to show the property in a way that you never have before. This is just some of our stuff on what we charge. But I'll come back to it. But for us, it is about telling the whole story. If you pull up any listing online at Zillow right now, I bet you'll find them that they have about 20 photographs and maybe 1 or 2 are outside. But let's do a little poll. How many of you have had someone call up and say, I saw this house online, I want to go see it? And you call to the buyer and say, great, at 2 o'clock we're all going to meet. So they take time out of their day, you take time out of your day, the buyer, or the seller, or the potential buyer takes time out of their day, you all show up. And the minute they get out of the car, you can see on their face there's something about that house they don't like. And there's nothing you're going to do to change that. How many of you will have had that issue happen? How much is that time worth to you? If you figure about every 8 times you sell a property, and that happens 4 times a year, I mean that's half of one commission you are wasting on a way to sell a house better. And if there's a way to stop that from happening, that's money in your pocket every single time. So all that drones do is do what you're doing to the inside of the house on the outside. Because no one buys a house based on just what the kitchen looks like, just what the living room looks like, just what the bedrooms look like. They buy a house based on where the neighbor's houses look like. How close is that park? Is it a busy street? Maybe I don't like the school that's across the street because I don't have kids. Or maybe that highway's a little too close. Or I really like that pond, but I didn't know it was there because it's not in the photographs. So if you can't show them that, then essentially you're wasting everyone's time who's costing you money. So that's essentially what we do. This is my favorite. Who here has vacant lots? Anybody sell any vacant lots? How's that? A lot of fun. So, this is my favorite. Oh, we're gonna have sound again, aren't we? It's a better way to sell a vacant lot, but then again, I'm a little biased. But again, you're selling the experience that goes along with it. Another aspect that I think that a lot of people don't realize, about 20% of our clients don't care if anybody watches the video. They'll put it up online, I'll ask them if anybody saw it, they really don't care. The reason why they're putting it up online, the reason why they're hiring us, is because it gets them the listing. If you're walking into a buyer, and they're making a decision between all you folks, why should I choose you versus you versus you? All three are going to tell me that you're going to market the house. All three of you are going to tell me that you're going to get pictures and you know the neighborhood and you know relationships with lenders. So what is separating you away from your competition? Walking with a drone video, walking with a way to showcase that property, not only tell the buyer that you are invested in selling their house in the most technological way that you can possibly do it, that you're throwing all the irons in the fire. It also communicates to the seller that there is the relationship that you're going to build, and that they're going to tell their neighbors, this is the person you want to go with. And your competition is going to be looking at you like, oh, now I have to do that, whether they want to or not. So that's essentially it. That's what it is. So as far as legalities, I can talk a little bit about legalities. Like I said, the FAA does require a permit. It's a little driver's license. They have to take a test. All our pilots are certified to fly with the FAA. It's a class that they have to take, a test that they have to take every 2 years. There is no insurance requirement. Get it? Make sure they're insured. These things are not infallible. I've practiced 6 in my life, 2 of which were actually my fault, 4 of which just decided to do its own thing. It's just like any other machine. These blades are 9.5 inches long, spin at 6,200 RPM, so take your finger off with a heartbeat. And there are plenty of videos online of people who have done really stupid things with them. My favorite of all time is a guy who, amateur photographer, decided to get a drone to help out his wedding business, and decided that he was going to do this shot where the couple was going to kiss, he was going to fly over the top of them, get this really beautiful moment, and then hit the bride right in the face. Oops. No insurance. That's the main problem. So that's essentially it. It's a pretty straightforward industry. There's a lot of questions I'm sure you had. I wanted to keep my remarks pretty brief and have it open up to kind of Q&A. So if anybody has any questions. Sure.
Is there a weight limit on how big the drone has to be or can be until you have to get the licensing? Like, you know what I mean?
You're required by license no matter if you're going to do commercial purposes. And
Commercial purposes is what?
commercial purposes is making any money off of it all. So there was a question a long time ago about, well, I'm not hiring myself out, but I'm a realtor, so I'm just going to buy my own drone, take my own pictures, and then use it for my own purposes. It's still commercial.
Okay.
Because you're using that to sell your house and you're making money off
There's not a size requirement though?
it. It's 55 pounds and less.
55 pounds or less.
Yeah, this is 4.4 pounds, so you're well within it. I can't possibly imagine a scenario by which any of you would need a 55-pound drone. Those are commercial grade. Those are, I'm going to shoot a Lexus commercial or for something for the Discovery Channel. Most of the commercial drones that are out there on the lower end commercial are these small little guys right here. Yeah.
Are there restricted areas where you can fly those?
Yes.
How about elevation?
Your 400-foot ceiling, and that changes. Again, that's all part of the test. Excuse me. You need to stay at a certain elevation underneath the cloud cover for pilot and that kind of thing. You stay away from airports. There are ways around that. You need to let the tower know. There are certain airports you're not allowed to go to no matter what. O'Hare and Midway being the two. Rockford and some of the outlying ones, calling the tower, letting them know. I've flown in Rockford's airspace. As long as you let the tower know, they know, let all the pilots know, and then you know exactly where they're going. It's pretty straightforward. But again, hiring with having experience and not. My general rule whenever I take off is I just don't want to end up on CNN for the wrong reason. So some people don't have that same philosophy.
To become licensed, there's so many hours of training that you have to acquire?
No, it's just studying for a test. The test is pretty involved. I mean, you got to know maps, you got to know how to read charts, air rules, regulations, that kind of thing. But it is not. It's not that difficult if you're willing to study. But again, that dropped the bar down for how many people are going to flood the market with cheap things. And again, it's easy to fly. It's easy to get your pictures. It's hard not to crash. And once you get the video and that kind of thing, getting it into editing software that is going to help have that kind of cinematic, beautiful look is different. Much like you can take pictures of the inside of the house on your iPhone, or you can hire someone professionally to do it. It's exactly the same.
What's approximate cost or amount of time required for an average property?
If I'm just doing still images, I'm on the property for 15 minutes.
If you're just doing what?
Just regular still images. If I'm doing stills and video, maybe it's very quick.
Is there a class that you can take to actually fly those prior to purchasing one?
Nope.
Nothing.
Trial and error.
Somewhere they're turning them in left and right because there's no. A lot of people think they can fly them. They're not that.
It's an expensive hobby. When I first got started, the camera on them looked a lot like those old Nokia phones. They were that hard plastic, and you could drop them off a building and nothing would ever go wrong. These cameras are so sensitive. One little clip, one little bag accident. That's it. And then it can be spending. We had a pilot who was shooting a BMW commercial last year, crashed 2 Inspires, which is kind of the next grade up, for about $5,000 a piece. He crashed 2 in the same day. That was fun. So, made the highlight reel for the year.
Would you reiterate what we talked about earlier as far as insurance? We were having that question. They'd probably like to know that, I guess.
Sure. So, one of the regulations that I'm working on at state level is to require that all commercial operators carry insurance. I think that's a pretty basic thing. We have a $1 million policy with $2 million if we need it for certain projects, but $1 million is really covered. It's not that expensive for operators. If you're doing this commercial work and you can't afford $1,000 a year for your insurance, you really shouldn't be in the business to begin with. It doesn't usually cover the actual drone itself. So if I were to crash it into a client's house or something like that, I would be out this, but the homeowner would be insured for their loss.
You're flying those up on the exterior, not in the interior.
No, I mean you can fly inside. I have flown them inside. You really need a special type of house to do that. Not as much as kind of banging into stuff, but it creates a lot of wind. This is you're blowing a lot of stuff. So dust goes everywhere. You think you dusted the place, you haven't. I promise. And it just wasn't looking good. So we actually use this. I love when I see a realtor who has taken their phone and they'll walk it around and do an inside aerial or an inside walk view of the house. And you can always tell that they're walking because the camera goes like this with each step. And it's okay. I mean, it's what's available, and maybe you don't want to spend that. This is what's called a Steadicam. So when I turn it on, any step I take, the camera stays perfectly steady. So if I want to go through a space, I can just go like this, and it's going to stay right where I need it to be, no matter what I do. So again, you get what you pay for. This is a handy little tool. You can pick one up. They're about $700. But again, if you do a lot of walkthroughs, you can get this. This is a lot easier to worry about than that. If you do a lot of walkthroughs, it's a way to set yourself apart. Get familiar with it. Just remember that that's only half the equation. You still have to edit it. You still have to process it. But it's a good way to get yourself out there and set yourself apart. That's the whole idea. Is you're not just marketing the house. You're marketing you. You are an entity unto itself. And the realtors who use us or use the industry have much better results, I've found. Our record in terms of video going online, house selling, is 6 hours. I don't know if there's a connection, I don't know, but it was pretty cool. Other questions?
What does CAVU stand for?
So when pilots were first learning how to take off from aircraft carriers back in World War II, they'd never done it before, had no clue. They were looking for the optimal weather to fly in, and so they nicknamed it COE, which is Ceiling and Visibility Unlimited. So you want perfectly blue skies, not an ounce of clouds and no wind. And that was the perfect weather to take off from a big floating piece of wood in the Atlantic Ocean. Or Pacific Ocean, rather.
Do you have a price list?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is us. So what we do is we have stills only. Stills only are $199 to $125. So if you just want pictures, we do 8 to 10 photographs. That's the minimum. I mean, we always shoot as many as the house needs. Usually that's about the max you want. You're only going to use a couple of them anyway, but you have them. Stills and video for less than $500,000 is $149. Stills and video for a property worth $500,000 to $1 million is $199. Anything over $299 for a $1 million property. Yeah.
I have a question on the capability on Paragon. I remember years ago we were having some problems with the number of pixels we could put on some of the pictures. Is this going to comply with the Paragon, the videos and stuff?
The only issue I think you need to be aware of that we talked about was the MLS policy. And I'll read it just like it stated. Rockford Area Realtors policy, all listings must have an exterior structure photo as the main listing photo. Exterior is defined as the front, side, or rear of main entrance. Otherwise, there's a $100 fine. So if you're going to engage in this type of marketing, just make sure that you're using your main photo.
There's no size limit on how much data. I know that when WOW was here, we were having some problems.
Yeah, our legacy system, there were some restrictions. Yeah, I do remember that. I haven't heard that on
The old system,
Paragon. Do
this
you
one
know?
doesn't have any?
I don't, well, there's always a limitation, but I don't think it would, again, it would handle this.
And even then, we can always deliver a low-res photograph in addition to the high-res. These high-res photos are big enough that you could blow them up the size of a poster if you wanted to. I mean, you can put them on a billboard. But if you need a smaller one for web work,
So you haven't any problem with this, have you?
I think nowadays it kind of remedy a lot of those issues.
and I can show you what some of the photographs would look like. I like this. This is one of my favorites. If you have a property where there's an awkward boundary line or there's a lot of land, a lot of times the buyer doesn't know what they're buying. If it says 6 acres and you do a big shot, we don't know. So what we do is we make everything black and white that they're not buying and everything in color what they actually are buying. So it's very easy for them to go, oh, that's what I'm buying. So the same thing kind of goes for that. they need. We like it. There's no additional charge. We don't do, I mean, again, I'm wearing two hats here. At least at our establishment, we don't do hidden fees, secret fees. I say if you want a bunch of fees, go book an airline ticket. What we charge is what we charge. And if we need something else, then we'll make it happen. You always pay on delivery. So you know, we've had a couple times where we've shot a property, by the time we got it back to them, and a couple days later they lost the listing. Which, yeah, right? So we just didn't charge. In fact, we actually went to the new one and just sold it to the new guy. So it's not a big deal on our end. We'd much rather you just be happy with it. That one was took this past weekend. That was my favorite photo I think I've ever taken ever. That's the Baha'i Temple up by Chicago. I like this because this actually tells kind of a story. What do you think I mean, you know it's going to be a trick question, but what do you think the weather was like when I took this photo? Sunny, bright day? This is just after a tornado. So a lot of folks always go, oh, it's really bad outside, I can't take photographs today. Just don't have to be horizon, you would never know. So a lot of times it's, our entire human experience with photography is ground-based. It's where we are, it's where we've existed. Take that photograph up 10, 20 feet in the air, everything changes. Both good and bad. If they've recently had roof work done, and there's a patch that doesn't match the other patch, you're going to see it. So let us know ahead of time, we can Photoshop it out. I like that one. That one's a pretty one. But again, I like to always stress, if this is only for the really, really expensive houses, this person, for example, it doesn't do your industry any good. The $100,000 house deserves to be marketed just as much as the $1 million house. Those people are paying you to help them sell their house. They're paying me to help market it, and we all adjust accordingly. And I feel it. I feel you. Having a $35,000 lot on your listing isn't exciting. It doesn't you don't wake up every day and high five everyone in the office that you landed it, but you still have to sell it. So you know, if you are known in the office as the person that no matter what comes across your desk, you give them the best that there is to offer. I would imagine you'd like it more than. You're right. I'm biased. Anybody else have a question?
Before, when you talked to us, you talked about how you notify the neighbors or what kind
Sure. So when we show up a property, this kind of walk through the whole process. This is what we do. I would recommend other people, if you were to hire other folks, do the same thing. We let you know the day before that you're on for the next day. We give you a 3-hour window, so you can let your client know. Then the day of, we'll send you another text message that says, pilot's on their way, and it'll have what's called a little glimpse message. It's a little app on my phone that allows you to see my GPS location in real time. So you'll know down to the second when I'm arriving. That way the client doesn't have to wait around. You don't have to wait around. When we arrive on the scene, we're going to let the neighbors know that we're there. Preferably, they would have already done that. We do it for 2 reasons. 1, privacy, get that question a lot. And 2, inevitably, if they don't know, they're going to walk into my shop. They're going to walk outside and stare up, and that's what we hear on the video. The whole process takes 10 to 15 minutes. It's very quick. The only thing you want to make sure is everything is ready to go when the pallet arrives. Because they're not really going to wait around a really long time. Lines are open. Inevitably, there will always be one that isn't. There'll be a sea of open windows is ever one. Now we have to go in there and Photoshop every one of them out. So little things like that. Privacy is something I get all the time. I think in 4 years we've had 2 instances where there's been an issue. Most of the time when you talk to the neighbor and let them know what you're doing, they don't have a problem. If it goes to like the next stage where they just don't want their house filmed or don't understand why you're there, I usually just use the same kind of elevator pitch, which is the quicker I sell your neighbor's house for the most money I can get for it, the more your house is worth. That usually makes me go, oh, all right, whatever. But on the off chance that they just don't want to be included, we just do our best to accommodate. As far as the law goes, there is no legal right, no airspace rights to any house anywhere. There's no law that says I can't fly over your house while I'm shooting your neighbor's house. I don't like to go that route, but I mean, if it had to be, my job is to produce a product for this person's house. Any other questions?
What was your most memorable shot? And challenging. 2 questions. Challenging and memorable.
I think there was that. This is the big black building right next to Navy Pier. That right there is me, standing up on top of a 50-story straight drop in Chicago. I don't like heights at all. We don't get along. I know it's just weird given what we do, but I'm not up there. I'm here, which is where I'm supposed to be. So flying off that and around, it made for a great shot, and it looks beautiful, but at the same time, just all around awful for me. But it looked great. It looked great at the end. Yeah, that was my favorite. Yeah.
When you do the videos, are they being produced by you guys, or am I just getting raw data?
No, they're being produced to us. We provide you at the end with 2 versions, a branded and unbranded version. Obviously, branding will have your name, logo, and that kind of thing on it. Unbranded will just say for showing contact your building.
Does the video also include interior video or just exterior?
If you have an interior video you want to incorporate it into it, we can marry the
But
two.
you don't film interiors?
No, we do. That's why we have the
Okay.
setting. That's the same pricing structure, exactly the same. You get a discount if you do the 2 at the same time. It's 20% off. You can marry the 2. The only thing I would caution is we track metrics on when people click on the videos, how long they stay watching the videos. By about 30 seconds in, you've dropped off 80%. So people are looking for the first 15, 20 seconds to go, yep, that confirms what I was hoping for. If you imagine the kind of thought tree that the consumer is doing, they went to a site like Zillow, they narrowed down their list based on the photographs, then they narrowed down that list by whatever other supplemental material there is, interior videos, drone videos, whatever else, to make the final determination of whether or not they want to contact you to see it showing. They're not using this as their first point of contact. So as long as they see something, as long as they don't see something in the first 30 seconds or so of the video that is a deal breaker, they're just going to click off and contact you. So that being in mind, our videos are only 60 to 90 seconds at the most. So if you're going to do a 60 to 90 second interior and a 60 to 90 second exterior and then blend the 2, now you have a novel. So what we try to do is, if we're going to do that, is give you both videos and then a very condensed marriage of the 2. So you can post the independent ones if they want, if you want to go that route, and then also kind of a married one that's kind of a short version of both. I'm not the most wildest fan of interior videos or Matterport. We do both. We do Matterport as well. Do you ever do Matterport up here at all?
Yeah.
Matterport is it's a 3D scan of every room. It allows the consumer to literally fly through a room if they want. They can click much like Google Earth. They can just kind of click through all the different rooms. I'm not the biggest fan of either of those, just because I don't know how many consumers do that versus just the pictures. And as a realtor, if I wouldn't necessarily want you to be able to see every inch of every single room that there is, as opposed to, here's the 5 best ones. If you didn't like the color scheme of the entry to the laundry room, maybe I don't need to show that to you in HD. You know? And so I'm not the biggest fan, but we absolutely do it for folks. We think it's warranted for a product.
What's the turnaround time on your product?
3 days from once we shot it. We try to get it done fairly quickly, but we're dependent on wind and weather. That's the big thing. Even like today, for example, it's not the greatest day for bright blue sunny skies. We can still obviously shoot. The main issue is wind. A lot of folks don't recognize that if it's really, really windy, it's hard to get a really nice stable video. So the windier it is, the more complicated it gets. So we just try to schedule it accordingly. So as long as everyone's flexible, then everybody gets a better video.
Now, if I have you do a bunch of videos and you send them or deliver them to me, how am I getting those delivered? Are they going to be in Dropbox? What kind of file format?
MP4 or M.MOV.
Okay, and then do I get the rights to that video? Or
Yes.
okay.
Again, that's also something, does anybody here do property management? Rentals at all? Okay. If you do, or have other people in your office that do, that is a hugely beneficial to your business, because if I'm a property owner, I only care about you in the sense that you are renting the property out. I don't have any problems at my house. The minute that somebody doesn't pay me rent or I have to do a repair, I'm shopping online for the next person to take over. It won't cause me that issue. But if you've got me my rentals, or you've got me my listings because of a drone video that you own, it's gonna be a lot harder for me to sever that relationship and go someplace else. The same way with the drone video for the sale, of the house. If you're my realtor and you own that drone video, and I'm gonna fire you and go with somebody else, now we're back to square one with that one. We don't recycle footage. I've actually shot, I think this year alone, 4 properties that I've already shot before. And I always know, because I will roll up to the house and there'll be something about it that just perks my memory, and I'll look in the database, oh, I've been here before, I've shot this. We don't say, oh, we already shot this, here's your video, and be done. It's just not something we do.
Do you have an example of a branded and non-branded video you've done?
I did. I can try to pull up online. This one might not be online. I think after work I can show you on my computer.
Okay.
Yeah, that's no problem. Best way to do it is to just put the link and upload it into YouTube. MLS is becoming a lot less restrictive. When we first were getting started, they didn't know what to think about this drone stuff. They didn't know, they were holding it to a lot of requirements that were kind of silly. One of which was they didn't like YouTube because YouTube has a feature in it where it'll automatically cycle to the next video in a queue. They didn't like you having to go away from an outside source. They've kind of gotten away from that, which is nice. Best way to kind of get beyond that, create yourself an account on YouTube, name something generic like Rockford Homes. Don't have it be specific to you. You're going to get a lot more play that way. And upload every one of your videos, interior or not, into there. And then just blast it on social media. Social media is the easiest way to get people to look at it. Video on Facebook gets infinite number of more clicks than by just simply putting it onto the MLS and being done. And again, you're going to separate yourself from everybody else. The other thing that we do, it's something that you should think about. Mementos. Once the house is sold, everyone's focus kind of moves on to the next guy. But if you're talking about building yourself up and marketing yourself. So what we'll do is we'll take the video that you already purchased, we'll take out all the slides that have any identifiers for the property itself, but we'll put a slide at the end that just says Tom and Becky's new home. And you can hand it out at the closing to the new clients. First place they're going to go with that is to post on YouTube, post on Facebook, and say, look at my new house I just bought. It's got your logo at the end of it. So you have free advertising. That's the easiest way to get people to get your name out there and really upset your competition.
You did a really nice video of Westlake Village for camp. And what does something like that cost, if you don't mind me asking you?
If I remember correctly, that's what's called a community video. We don't do as many of those anymore. We still do them. It's just the high price. It's just $2.99. What we'll do is, if you're, for example, there seems to be kind of two different realtors. There's the realtors who will take anything in Rockford, and I will sell anything in Rockford. Then there's the folks who go, I'm focusing on Westlake Village. I'm the person who's known for Westlake Village. Any property comes into the market in that area, I'm your guy or gal. So we will create a video germane to just that specific area that talks about the access to the freeways and the parks and the schools and shopping and all the things that go along with that. So you're selling the neighborhood, not a specific house. And you can put that on your own personal page. You can send it out to clients. When someone says, I saw this listing, what makes Westlake Village great and interesting? Oh, great, here's a video, take a look and then tell me what you think. That's why we create them. We do them really heavily on the north side of Chicago a lot. North Lake, Blackout, Lake Zurich is a huge one. The same thing for commercial properties as well. Any other questions?
Is there any place to go, like on FAA's website, get drone rules and regulations or something like that?
Yeah, they have a whole website that's designed just for it. So FAQ one. Again, the thing that if you're hiring a drone person, you want to make sure they have a license. You want to make sure they're insured, and you want to make sure that they understand the legalities of what they're doing. Most of the rules are common sense. I've never flown higher than the ceiling. You can get close to the ceiling, 400 feet. At 400 feet, your house is going to look like this. And we're not selling ants here, so this is kind of silly. I think that 100 feet, you're kind of exceeding the range anyway. So there really isn't a need to push the limits. Unfortunately, some people do, and that's why we have to have rules, but for the most part, it's pretty straightforward.
You know, I know on Facebook that you can take any picture that anybody puts up and save it in your photos. Can you do that with video? I've never.
You can. You need some kind of specialized software. That's why I'm always a big fan of tagging it with your information and making sure you have a branded version of it. But a couple cases where other realtors have had interior videos that have been borrowed.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's the way of putting it. I think it's totally unethical, and I think if you have the branded version of it, to be able to call them up and say, you know, what are you doing? It's easier to kind of submit that with it. But that's why the branding is good.
All right, thank you very much,
Well, thank
Dan.
you.
We appreciate it. Thank you, Facebook friends, for being with us as well today. We were live streaming, so we're going to thank them as well. And everyone have a great day.
I can show you that branded video if you want. If you want to see that branded video.
Oh, yeah.